Clear that grid problem. Greetings. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to another World Media Coalition Jazz Lovers Television Network presentation of our Find My Voice with our lovely, illustrious Sunshine and Blue Skies host, Vanessa Van Miller in this How are you, Ben?
I'm doing exceptional. I'm trying to get back into the meeting because they're mowing my lawn, so I don't want to hear all the noise. So I was trying to mute everybody.
Okay, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, so I'm like, all days they want to come to mow the lawn today, and normally do it on Wednesdays.
Oh, okay. So how's everything going?
Put him out
here. Looks like we might have lost it.
Who did we lose?
Van Miller.
You lost Van? No, we didn't. Oh, okay.
I mean, she did, but she went dark.
She froze up.
Yeah.
Put him out to everyone. How's everyone? This is the Van Miller. I Found My Voice production. And I'd like to welcome King Zulu, Frickson.
Yeah, peace. How you doing, everybody?
My brother. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. I just came from work. Some quick. Happy that I'm not late. Let me introduce my friend today. About I talk to you, Siddhant Tiwari, the Indian student who now living and studying in Ufa City, Republic of Bashkortostan, Russia Federation. This my friend with whom we built Neft Radio, students radio in Russia, and also he's a leader of the International Club of the Students in Russia. Siddhant, how you doing? Talk with us. I hear us. Yeah, he's right here, Siddhant Tiwari. I not see him, but I see his account in Zoom.
I'd like to welcome His Excellency Ambassador Chaplain James from Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. My brother. He had an excellent program 2 days ago. International Conference for the World Peace Day with Dr. O'Keefe. And I see we have Lester, his host, back, Van Miller.
Yeah, I had to move around because of the lawnmower was so loud. I'm like, okay, let me get off the laptop and move with my phone. So, but how are you all doing today?
Doing well. We're doing well.
Good.
You know,
your co-host is back too.
Yeah, I saw Chaplain James was back. I was asking about you last week.
See, Chaplain, you can't stay away. You stay away.
Yeah. This is our show. We remain here.
Yeah.
We remain here. This is our show. This is our program.
Yeah.
So we remain here. We have come to stay, and this program has come to stay. Knowledge changes.
All right.
I want to introduce you to my colleague in Ukraine, Zulu King Frickson.
If we be correct, I'm not from Ukraine, Lugansk People's Republic. We're not Ukraine anymore.
I always get it wrong. I'll get it right one day.
And Siddhant asked in chat in this group, he cannot turn the cam and microphone admin settings. Maybe admin can help him.
I can't do anything from here. He's got to do that on his own. Mm-hmm. It should be on the bottom left of his screen, or his I don't know what device is on, but it should be on the bottom left. If he touches the screen, if he's on his phone, it should be on the bottom left. If it's on the computer, it's definitely on the bottom left to unmute.
Siddhant, if you hear us, please try to turn the cam and mic in the corner. Or maybe you can restart your device and Zoom program. He said in chat, when I touch, it says the admin has not allowed to turn on mic and cam.
Okay, can you control that, Amar? Can you? Let me see, where is he at?
He write in this chat in Zoom, where we now have meeting.
I did everything I could here. Asking to unmute. You should be able to come on.
Yeah. I'm trying
Sit
to
down.
open it too.
Okay, I think he now try to reboot his device.
Okay.
I'm not see Eric. He promised to.
I see him. He's on mute. Eric, are you there? Edgar.
Hello.
From California, okay. And we have Joy, Karmic Dynasty.
We hear you, man.
Joy, Karmic Dynasty, syndicating her network with us.
Hello, how are you doing, guys?
Excellent. We hear you. So my friend, Chaplain James, had a great program on the 21st, an International World Peace Day program. So let's start with him and get an update on that production as well. And he's gonna send it to us so we can put it on the network on the World Media Coalition. So you got the mic.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure meeting you again.
Okay.
I salute Ambassador Makakuvu, salute Ambassador Vanessa Anderson, and my dear colleague and friend Amar, and every speaker and participant of this program. It's a pleasure meeting you again. And this is the program I had my voice. So I always love to be here because I always love to add my voice to the voices of the angels, to the voices of humanitarians, distinguished ones, and to add my voice to the voices of the ambassadors when it comes to volunteerism and humanitarianism. So thank you for having me on board. My name remains James Messi or Patumibi. I'm a chaplain, and by the grace of God, I am the Chief Executive Officer of World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. Like Ambassador Makakuvu said, on the 21st of September 2021, that was on Tuesday, we had an International Peace Day.
We're going to ask if you're not speaking to put your phone on mute, please.
Go ahead, Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So on that 21st of September 2021, which is on Tuesday, we had our World Peace Day, World Peace Conference that comprises about 11 countries all over the world, from United States, United Kingdom, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from South Africa, from India, from Pakistan, and so on and so forth. So we thank God for all the participants. And as well, we have our representative from UNESCO, United Nations, through the link and support of Ambassador Makakuvu. So it has been a pleasure. We have them on board. And the theme of that program was peace through sustainable development goals. So that day we talk about sustainable development goals. We have 17 goals set by United Nations, and the agenda is for Agenda 2030. That is the goals we are looking at it that by the 2030, they should be eliminated, eradicated, or be the minimum level. We have Go 1, Go 2, Go 3 that talks about no poverty, zero hunger. We have education, quality of education, and so on and so forth, that has to do with humanity. So the theme of the peace conference was peace through sustainable development goals. We realized that all the goals, each of them was just promoting peace for humanity. Because when there is hunger, humanity cannot be at peace. When there's no food in a community, there's no peace. There cannot be peace. When there's no sound or quality education, there cannot be peace. When it is gender inequality, there cannot be peace. When it comes to gender violence, there cannot be peace. When it comes to inequalities in all ramifications, there can never be peace. When it comes to violation of life on water, life below water, there cannot be peace. Life on land, there cannot be peace. So we realize that all these sustainable development goals are for peaceful living or peaceful condition for humanity. So, and that was what we dealt with on that very day. And our dear Honorable Ambassador Ada from UNESCO did justice to that, educating everyone on how to go about these sustainable development goals. And at the end of the program, we thank God it was a huge success. And at the end of the program, we give awards to humanitarians that we know that they are into one NGO or the other.
Excuse me, Chaplain James. While you're speaking, Amar, I just sent you the flyer for that production that he's speaking about. Would you bring it up on the screen so people can see?
Okay, if we have it there, I think it's better. We have it there, I think it's better. So we award people, we know that they have been to this practice and they have been contributing to development, contributing to peacekeeping, contributing to the sustainable development goals, contributing to community development and the national building. So we awarded them humanitarian goodwill ambassadors to encourage them to do more in these humanitarian services. And that was just that about this conference we had on the 21st of September 2021. It was the World Peace Day. So in a brief, that's what we had. So thank you so much for having us here too. And this brief discussion about the World Peace Day. And I have to congratulate everyone and appreciate all the speakers, which Ambassador Makakuvu was one of the speakers. He spoke, I think, was it Go 8, Ambassador Makakuvu? And I know he speak on one of the Sustainable Development Goals with other speakers. We appreciate all the speakers, the moderators as well. We have a moderator from South Africa, Princess Sepri from South Africa, and we have the second session moderator from India. We have Dr. Minashi from India, who moderated the second session. So it was a good success. Thank you, Lord, and thank you everyone for this opportunity again to be here. So thank you so much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Amar, clear those gray bars. I want people to see Dr. Okika on that flyer, if you don't mind, please.
No.
as her. Dr. Okika is the director for the UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals in Education. She gave the opening remarks, and to have her speak and give the opening remarks was a tremendous honor for everyone because she was an unexpected guest. And she was welcomed by His Excellency Ambassador James, who hosted the program from out of Lagos, Nigeria. And it was recorded on Zoom. We also had Ambassador Prince Yao from California, Queen Mother Nina Womack from California, Ambassador Lloyd Halferty from Canada, and others who spoke. I had the opportunity to speak on the Sustainable Development Goal number 8, which is the economic and the right to have decent employment. And I tied that to the educational concept because all of these are tied to education. All 17 development goals are tied to the type of learning that people need in a fundamental society to shift the paradigm from the paradigm of oppression to the paradigm of inclusion and prosperity. I see that His Excellency Sharif Baudet had come in for a moment from the Gambia. I think he might have had to step off. And we have Chris Waller as well as has come in, and Brother Ramutef. And I yield back to, and thank you, Chaplain James, I yield back to our illustrious host, Van Miller, so she can speak with the people on the panel and get some more information. And we have a wealth of information to be shared with us today. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, it gets better and better. That's all we can say about Thursday. It's getting better and better. We are enlarging our territory. We continue to do that on a weekly basis, and we've syndicated. And I mean, it's just amazing the things that are happening and the places that we're being able to go, and the people that are gaining their voices and coming to this space. So, just enlightening, and all because of you, Makakuvu.
No, all because of the Spirit of the Most High that brings us together. You know,
Yeah.
We have Ramutef, and whenever he's on board, I always ask him to bring forth the Khemetic energy from the cosmos. So Ramutef, bring us that energy, please, as the day moves forward.
With your permission, elders, may I have permission to speak?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Forces that allow us love, guidance, protection through the daily experience in particle matter. I'd like to present my Hesi, my Saku, my affirmation as I begin. Heti Pu, Dua, Anazarak, Ramesh, Hotep. Greetings, divine greatness, divine excellencies to the first families. Managa, Shimsa, Ruz, Messenger Biddies, Mets. Sibas, Tots, the mortal ones of my art chairs, phenomenon, possession, new age, order, great golden age of my PSR, and to all the citizens and descendants of the Nile Valley cultural collective consciousness, spirituality. And as that, O Asper, Mupat Nataru, Pandebu, the mother of the Netarus, the mistress of Pet, the maker of mankind, she who is mighty in, Usa Met in Nefer Hakau, divine words of power, mother of all initiations. Bless us, humble servants for Unk, like being now present. As we seek the counsel of the ancient ones and practice daily the ancient Montean ways and ancient Montean truths, we strive evermore to become one with thee in this world and existence to come. We ask that you bless us on this the 61st day of the year after the year horizon. 299 days remaining to Uber Subta Cyrus Rising before Samantawi, Rem Pet the Jihad New Year celebration. The 25th day of the second month of Redanut. The third day of Ramutef. The first day of the third month of the first season of Shimu, year number 11, AFK, STF to the founder of Khemetic, Samantawi, phenomenon, procession, new age, order, great Gona Asian Mom, PSR. We ask you to bless our families, our friends, and all those who gather together today who worship in your glorious ancient Tamarian name of Asuramu, Patataru, Panebu, for the artist seeking you. There is much comfort. So let it be spoken, let it be written, let it be done, so shall it be, for now and forevermore. Ra and Epiteshara, Panapa, Apu Pamaat, Uncle was the Jet, Uncle Ujasaneb, Ubin, Nefike, Panabu, Maati, rising always to the by excellence with Maat, all day, every day. Dua.
Bimakiyo, Dua subject.
Yes.
Bimakiyo.
Something rising.
Mm-hmm.
So, Van.
So we have, yes.
Go ahead, take it over.
So we have Edgar. I think he came on last week near the end.
Yes.
Yes. So Edgar, come turn your mic on and come on and let us hear a little bit about you. I think he's part of the Zulu Nation as well.
Yes.
Okay. For a long time.
I'm new.
How are you guys?
We're doing great today. How are you?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Zulu.
Friction Native, how are you? And thank you. I appreciate you bringing me on. So, really quick, I want to say a couple things, if you allow me.
He's not Edgar. He is Eric. His real name Eric.
My real name is Eric. My real name is Eric Morgado. I'm a doctoral student at the University of Arizona in education, the philosophies of education, as well as I'm also pursuing a PSYD in the philosophies of psychology. So that's what I'm doing at this moment. At the same time, I collaborate and engage with all educators, all of the faculties of a number of universities, and we conduct the research, qualitative and quantitative research, and such as what you guys are doing right now. I'm very familiar with. Education is everything. That's why I went into education. Education is everything. It's in your job. It's in the workforce. It's at home. It's in the community. It's in the agencies. It's in the United States Senate, Congress. It's in government. Education, training is there present, whether people know it or not. What we want to do is make them aware of that. So, like you were saying before, we want to educate and engage with the community, with our neighbors, so we can prepare them to be productive citizens, so they can understand the laws and how a government works. I know Bambaataa stated in the past that, and I'm going to tell you something, Bambaataa was right when he says, you want to learn government. Well, that's where I belong, because where I come from, my family came from Sumer, Babylon, Iraq, the land of Nod, Shinar. That's an area where the Senate began, the Congress began, the first writing system began. Everything stems from there, came from there. Fact or no, is whether people are know it or not, that's where it originates. The law of Hammurabi, the code of Hammurabi, of Armathel, title King of Nations. These are historical. This is what resonates with me. And the first education, the first schools were in Mesopotamia, not in Egypt. They adopted it. Nimrod brought that there. So the history is there. We belong there. All of us are part of that. Not just a certain race of people. We are one race, one blood. We belong there. So I'm so happy that you have brought me over. And like I said, what I do is I write lesson plans. I frame and write curriculum and instruction, as well as teach the philosophies of education and the history of education to help prepare our youth, our young adults to learn to how to write a resume, how to job search, how to get their GED if they don't have it. Education is for everyone. We have a growth mindset. A lot of people have a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck, Stanford University, 1981. That's how I'm quoting from her. Very great. I know her. She's a very great doctor and professor in growth and versus fixed mindset. We have to have that. This is something we have to teach. It doesn't exist in some of the schools. And that's why a lot of people, and even biases, we might have some biases. Well, look at that guy. We don't think he's going to be good for the job. How many people have these kind of biases that they're unaware of? We have to, these are implicit biases that we have to help young adults, everyone, young adults, the youth, so they can move forward and so they can be successful, because everyone can be successful. Someone ever tell you, well, you can't do that? That's not true. So we want to promote that. We want to promote the history of and to be the cultural response theory. You know, first of all, Egyptian history is amazing history. The Sumerian history, amazing history. Everyone's history is amazing, but it did have a starting point. And so that's what we want. We want to take that and educate the youth, and we want to have people who are, we want to have people that are trained, and if they're not trained, they don't know how to conduct some of the education. We can help them and give them the resources. So what I do is I work with the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. to help get some legislation passed for some of the curriculum that might be missing in the school systems. So that's what we do as researchers. As a PhD doctoral practitioner, I go out there, do the research on any subject it is, any problem of practice. And I know you know what I'm talking about with problem of practice when I say that. Problem of practice is everything has to be. Problem of practice can be anything. How come some students? And so this is what's interesting about problem of practice is that some of the school districts will say to minority students, well, they don't do good on tests, but the Anglo-Saxon does. That's not true at all. They both can do good. The problem is us. We have a bias towards certain people. That has to stop, because, and it will, it's happening now. It's happening slowly, but that's where the barrier is at. We're the ones that create that. We're the ones that have it inside us to go, you know what? I don't know if you're good for that job, but that person's better than that one. That's not true at all. And so that's the kind of things that sets people, that halts people from moving forward, because the other side believes it. Well, if you're an independent thinker and you have research correctly, this shouldn't be a problem. This should not be a problem. So what I do, my function in the Department of Education is we are a think tank. We're the ones that we write and frame all of this. We write and frame the laws, standards, and criteria for the curriculum, for instruction. So then it's passed to the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and it's dispersed through the principals and the superintendents and all that. Excuse me. That's what I do. I pass law, basically. That's what I do. I write a law. I send to the legislation. It's either yes or no. And if it's not, I go back and I fight. I'm actually helping. I'm here for you guys. I say, look, this is a legislation. This is why we wrote this. This is what it's going to do for the community. Yes or no. Either the United Nations get involved, and yes or no. And so that's what I do. And I'm going in also to be a Juris Doctorate, get a Juris Doctorate degree to be a judge. And that's something I'm studying right now to do. To be a judge, to basically pass law. For me to do it. Some people don't pass certain things. Like all of our desires and all of our desires that we have right now, that we want things to be done, guess who does it? We have to start. It starts with the government. We have to be in the government, and in order to be in the government, someone has to nominate you to be in the government. And once you're there, guess what? We now can rule, not rule, abuse our rule, but help. And that's what it takes. It's about collaboration, and we all have a desire and leadership to help one another and educate them. Education is the key. It is the most important thing we have is education. What's 1 + 1? What's 1 divided by 1? That kind of stuff. And how to write a topic sentence, how to write a thesis statement, how to write a paper, how to write is the most, Frederick Douglass, I love his story. I wrote a paper on Frederick Douglass when he didn't even know how to write. He said, the moment you learn how to write, you're not a slave no more. You're not a slave no more. Once you can read and write, look at that. Frederick Douglass is my favorite. He was a politician, and he started the first bank. He was the first one to start a bank. In the United States. So he was a very inspirational individual for me as I was growing up.
Wow. Well, we're glad that you're here today. So let me ask you a question. So you are the policy and the procedure when it comes to education, and what kind of laws or changes do you feel will need to happen in the next coming years because of our kids being tied to Zoom, tied to the things that are going on? There will have to be a lot of changes because so many kids were automatically already left behind. And now we're looking at even more. How will we be able to affect that change, and what kind of laws do you think will need to be written?
So the first thing is I've already conducted research on online students versus in-class instruction. There is a drawback with online learning. That's been the case. I saw it 30 years ago. I saw this 30 years ago, 1990. This idea, and what has to be, so our research, it's a quantitative or qualitative, it's both. It's a mixed methods research. What we do is we proposed that it's more essential, more beneficial for the engagement and engaging with that student face to face instead of being online and them being independent, because what they do is there's distractions. So we put all this in the study. We submit it to the Department of Education. They're now looking at it. They're looking at it right now. So the laws of, so right now, COVID-19, you mentioned 2030, the Agenda 2030 situation. That was written about 25 years ago. President Bush 1 and Bush 2, he was part of that. Bill Gates is a part of that. They are all a part of that. And why? What's the reason for that? To depopularize the human race. And that's what their idea is. And how do they do that? Do vaccinations. People say, see, I haven't got a vaccination. I haven't been sick in 50 years. Why is that? Because my grandmother was a nurse at Stanford University. And she was a virologist before she studied virology and medicine.
How come you people got hit? Okay, while we're waiting on him, he's back.
Not yet. He's still on mute.
Mm-hmm. So I know that Joy's been traveling around. Joy, can you tell us a little bit? Give us an update on your tour and the things that you've been doing as well. Is she still on?
She's got the link hooked up. I don't know if she can hear you. She's on mute too. Joy, unmute yourself, please. Can you hear us? Ahmad, in the meantime, I sent you a couple of pictures, email of Kafra, Bambata, and Mfundisi. I sent you 2 emails. Would you bring those pictures up right quick? I know Eric is part of the Hip Hop Museum
Which one do you want me to bring up first?
I'm sorry?
Which one do you want me to bring up first?
Bring up the first email. You got 3 of them I sent you. The one with Bambaataa receiving his Ankh Award.
Okay.
For the official award ceremony. For Bambaataa's Ankh Award. Yes. This picture. The Kafla on the left, which is the right of Bambaataa, is an ascended master, Khemetic Khemetic high priest. And that was the official presentation of the Ankh to Africa Bambaataa. This was, about 10 years ago. And it declared officially that the spiritual consciousness of the universal Zulu nation was rooted in the Khemetic, or the Rekati Khemetic, the Khemetic mind science. So I wanted to share that particularly with Zulu Fiction and Eric, as well as Ramutef, because they are very familiar with the work of the Kafla and the work of Bambaataa. Go to the next ones, Amar, please.
I don't know.
There you see myself and Kafla again, but what I wanted to highlight is that mural behind us. That is a 15 by 20 foot hand-painted mural, the Ab Amen, the great Amen mural. And as you see, Amen is seated in the Shishini posture above the Shishini, or the lotus flower, with the solar disk on his head. Amen Ra. Anejirak Amen Ra. Anuk Tatianet Amen Ra. Anuk Amen Ra. The next picture, below that, bring that up, Amar, please. This is Mfumdishi, who himself is a Himnachet to be a Khemetic high priest, along with Adi Kafla. So I want to share that and make that a matter of record so that the Zulus and the Khemetic spiritual consciousness people in the production can know the roots from which this conversation emanates. Thank you. Thank you, Amar. Did we get Eric back yet? No.
Come up here. Right in here.
Van, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
Pastor James, what are your thoughts on what Eric has just spoken on? I think everybody's in mute space today.
Yes. Sasha, she wants to speak. Unmute yourself, Sasha.
I'm unmuted. Peace and blessings all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is this about us in healing? Our people in healing? Education, what? Like, is it all mixed into one? Or, okay, because listening to the man, Eric, speaking about education, he has natural law mixed in with education. Government is what has us all in this situation period. If we governed ourselves and our own children, we would not have this problem. Like I'm saying, we need to take it back to, I'm gonna say when I was a kid. I know how I raised my children, but morals, we don't, one, who are we to, if I read the caption correctly, who are we to have a child born male or female, one, and us decide if they are male or female when it is just as it is that they are born a male or female. That's one. Two, how can a child tell you to, how can you not control the child? And I don't even want to say control like that, but you don't want them to get it wrong. You don't want to disrespect them by calling them he or she if they identify as something else. No. For him, I don't care how many laws you say or what you want to do, what you go push, you still don't teach the truth. Any way you look at it. If anything, we need to go back to our village and look inside ourselves first before anything. Stop having them put their say in it. I'm sorry if I'm not sorry, but they don't need their hand in anything we do to fix us, because we have to fix us first. And that's coming from the inside and then out and let it trickle down. Because this right here, there's no way that if my grandchildren are not going back to school. They're not, because they're not going to be forced to be vaccinated. They're not going to be confused as to, okay, well, this is right because he said he's a girl. There's no one day you're a girl, one day you're a boy. For me, he one day and she another. That is wrong. And those that let it go against their common sense, what they know, have a mental illness. Like point blank, don't go against your gut when you know right is right and wrong is wrong. And that's it. Islam.
Well,
Transparency. I'm truly in the space. People do not know who you are unless you learn to be transparent with what it is that you say and where it is that you're going and who you identify with. It's being transparent. I agree with you. Thank you so much for that, Sasha.
Chris, I just read your comment in the chat. Do you want to speak on it? Can you hear me? Chris Waller.
No.
We're not hearing you, although you unmuted yourself.
We kind of heard you. For a second. Can you hear me now, big bro?
Yes, we hear you now. And welcome. We've been trying to get you on the show for the last 3 weeks, man.
Can you hear me, big bro?
Yes, we hear you now, man. We put you on the flyer for 2 weeks in a row, and you come up on the third week.
Well, you know what? I apologize. First of all, I want to apologize. I want to say greetings to everybody. I seriously apologize, but I'm right now, man. I got like 18 different balls in the air juggling all at the same time. I'm a part of like 5 or 6 different organizations, creating my own business from scratch right now. So I got a lot going on. And but I'm so happy to finally have made it onto this platform. I'm actually in constant conversation with my elders and people that I'm involved with in other organizations to try to figure out how we can have a dialogue together, invite different people from what you guys have going on here to, be involved in some of the things that I'm involved in. But, in reference to the question that was asked, what the dude was saying, I mean, I salute him in his endeavors to make the world a better place. But personally, nothing that he said had any resonance with me at all, because I'm for self-sufficiency, do for self, and that's no disrespect to anybody. But, we are a people. We may have been diluted here and there, whatever, but we're a people, and everybody is not one of our people. You can be our friend, our loved one, etc. So there's no disrespect. I understand what we've been taught here in America. You know what I mean? But it is what it is in reality. So in reality, we need to be educating our own children. I don't care what the governor, the president, none of them have to say about nothing that has anything to do with us. We have human rights, you know, universal rights to do whatever it is that we choose to do. It's just that we need to actually do that. So I salute him in all the things he was saying, but it has no relevance to me in my existence, because us being, you know, the original people, what laws, what rules, what class, we teach us what we need to know, but it's something that we have to relearn. We have to relearn that this is our responsibility, not a little bit, not shared, nothing. No one else should have anything to do with anything that has something to do with us when it comes to the building of us, because that is not how you become successful in this reality. In reality, Indian people control Indian people's consciousness. Chinese people and Asian people control their own consciousness. Europeans obviously control their own consciousness. They determine who they are, how the world is going to see them, how you're going to behave towards them, etc., etc., etc. And that's what we need to do as melanated people. And everybody's not melanated. I don't care what language you speak. You can speak Spanish. That don't mean you're from Spain. If you're black, you're African. That's it. The end. Sorry. I don't care if you speak Portuguese or Chinese. Whatever language you speak is just a language. It's not a race. So that's confused. And so, you know, I'm just not really clear on what the platform is about, but this is what it is that I come to share.
That's why it's called I found my voice. So you have a right to say what you need to say here.
Thank you, beloved. So basically, my perspective is do for self. So we have to teach our own children who we are. We have to interact with our own people, create our own businesses, create our own industry, create our own airplanes. And it's just something that's not difficult to do. It's just the commitment to doing it, because when the white man came to America, there was no railroad. He decided that there would be a railroad to transport goods from one side to the next side and around and everywhere in between. And he did that with his own money, not the government. People did it. So guess what? We are people too. There's 2 billion of us on the planet, and we can easily do any of this because, one, we have the manpower, we have the youth, we have 70% of our race is under the age of 35. No other, not all the other races put together can match that. No one. In other words, we didn't even start yet, because we still making baby ages and beyond.
Making a cake.
You know what I'm saying? So in other words, no one can outlast us. That's why they have to come up with stuff to try to destroy us. So like I was saying, you know, they created their own industry. So why is there no railroad going from East Africa to West Africa, from North Africa to South Africa, and all places in between? Because we have not created it. We cannot allow others to come into our foundational place where all of the most minerals on the planet are. All the diamonds, gold, oil, fresh water, animals. We keep on going and going and going and going and going and going and going. And the whole world is feeding off of that place, and we are not involved enough. So
pull up that video. I just emailed you a video, and I want to address what Chris said in reference to education. Please pull up this video. We pulled it up before, but I want to share it again because it's very pertinent in reference to education and the paradigm. And I want you to hear what this man says about the systems that have taught us. I just sent you the email, Amar. Pull it up, please.
Yeah, it's still downloading. Gotta give you a second.
Still downloading? I want you to hear what this man says about all of the institutions of the West and what they are designed to do. Specifically, it's not about teaching people what's right and wrong. There's a specific agenda from the Western paradigm, and it affects even indigenous people where in Eastern Europe. It affects people because the Western paradigm is he's going to tell you what exactly it's about. Did it finish downloading yet?
Yeah, it's right.
Okay, good. Listen to this. It's 6 minutes, people.
Let's do it.
We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that.
Stop it. Stop it. Amar, rewind it so they can hear that again. That's the first thing comes out of his mouth.
We will not allow.
Not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about it.
Stop it.
And this means...
You hear what he said? They will do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is and impoverished. Keep on. Keep going. Go ahead, Mark. Thank you.
Structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is.
Stop.
And whether it is Europe, US, or now China.
All right? It's all the educational systems, the religion, the churches, the universities, the medicine is all designed to keep our people impoverished. And that doesn't mean just black folks. That means anybody that seeks truth. That's why the people here are truth seekers. You got people right now where fiction is seeking truth, and they have been subjected to the same paradigm. Keep going. Thank you. Go ahead, Amar. Play the video.
Second, something just glitched out on the computer.
Oh, okay. That's the set vibration. You know, that vibration comes up a lot. So people, it's important to realize that education is not education. It's indoctrination, and propaganda. Eric shared with me that the ancient writing of Khemetic is cuneiform. Cuneiform is a word that the Greeks developed, so that cuneiform means it's not really a language. Which means that it gives the credence that Hebrew is the first written language. It's not. You cannot go anywhere and look in the Merkut, the pyramids, and see no Hebrew writing. It's all Khemetic. Go ahead.
Of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. Okay, and this means all the economic structures, all the global institutions, and the economics we teach everyone is all designed to keep Africa exactly where it is. And whether it is Europe or US or now China, it's always the same. We need Africa to be impoverished, because we need those raw materials and we need them dirt cheap. Okay, so that's the message. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. Okay, but this is the opposition that they're fighting. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that with a big one. This is what it's fundamentally about. What I want to show you is how these structures are operating. It's just 20 minutes, so we can't do very much, but just to give you a little bit of an idea. And why I keep the ideology part there is because we are part of the producers of ideology. Universities and academic institutions, we are complicit in this whole enterprise. Okay, so the job of many Western academics is to convince Africans they have to keep doing what they're doing. Okay? And to show them it's your fault that you're poor. It's not our fault. It's your fault that you're poor. You know, so This is what we do in academic institutions. I want to show that. This is what it's basically about, so you know what it's about. But I want to just show you the extent to which Africa is specializing in the production of raw materials and basic agricultural goods. We know the basic forces that have caused this underdevelopment. We know it's colonization. I will not discuss that very much because my colleague speaker is going to go into some aspects of this. But I do want to discuss the global economic structures, the global financial institutions, and economic ideology, briefly, to give you a flavor of those. Let me start with this. You can't really see it so easily, but if those of you who are interested, you want the PowerPoint, I'm sure we can make it available to you. But the thing that you really need to see is the top line. Okay? And the extent of dependency is captured by this statistic at the top. Okay? And you compare it with all other income groups, and what you see is essentially in that one statistic how dependent sub-Saharan Africa is on raw material production. Okay, this is the very heart of what makes sub-Saharan Africa beat. Okay. Here, just to have a look at one very important additional statistic, with all this export coming from sub-Saharan Africa, how much does sub-Saharan Africa account for in terms of global trade value? We know there are vast resources coming from there, but look at the bottom line in terms of global trade value. Look at that. 0.5%, 1975, 0.95%, going down to 0.1. Meaning that with all these vast resources being produced, how much are they getting for it? Nothing. Nothing. This is a very significant piece of data. Then I just want to show you what has happened to sub-Saharan Africa, because what we know, and from all studies, no country ever develops without manufacturing. Okay, producing raw materials will not take you anywhere. Producing basic agricultural goods will not take you anywhere. And let's have a look at how much manufacturing activity takes place in sub-Saharan Africa. We can look over the last 15 odd years, 15, 20 years. And we see manufacturing has actually declined as a percentage of the total. This is percentages of total production in sub-Saharan Africa. How much of it is accounted for by manufacturing? So this figure here is 17% of the total. Most of the rest, when we talk of industry, it includes manufacturing, but the bulk of it is mining. Okay? Raw material extraction. This is the bulk of it. And here we see actually raw material extraction has stayed the same. What has caused industry to fall is the fall in manufacturing production. This is deliberate because we will never, as Western economists, as Western policymakers, we cannot afford to allow Africa to industrialize and start producing manufacturers. Okay, so we will do everything to stop that. And I'm going to show you how we actually block that.
Okay? All right, so now, that is not me being racist. That is not me lying. That is not me propagating some type of anti-white theology. That is the truth coming from the basis of why they do what they do. The man said, that they will never allow sub-Saharan Africa to be in the manufacturing technological production. They will do everything to stop it. What does that mean? That means they will go to war to stop it. So I share that video whenever I get a chance to, so people can realize, hey, this ain't about teaching hate. This ain't about teaching against the Creator. They are telling you that everything that they have done for the last 1,000 years, particularly in the last 500, starting with doomed versats from the Catholic Church that declares all people of indigenous origin enemies of Jesus Christ. Now, I want to share this with you because you got to read the document. Don't think I'm telling you something that ain't true. Go to the document itself. It was established in 1452 from the Vatican under Pope Nicholas V, a papal bull, a church edict that says they have the right to go around the world and claim everybody's land as for the Catholic Church, to declare the people to be enslaved into perpetuity. That means forever, people. That means forever. And to declare them enemies of Jesus Christ. Now, I want you to check out the dynamics of the psychology of that. Because our people are ardent believers in Christianity. But the document says that they are declared enemies of Jesus Christ into perpetuity, forever. So our people believe in something that they've been declared an enemy of and don't even know it. Check out the psychology of that. That's why I refer to spiritual enslavement. Now, you look at what happened in Texas this week. You got the Border Patrol people riding horseback with whips, beating Haitians.
That's crazy.
Okay? Beating Haitians. Now, what is the significance of Haiti? Well, number one, Haiti.
That wasn't a whip, it was a lasso.
Well, whatever it was,
that's what they said. They called it a lasso.
Okay? Haiti, the significance of Haiti is this, and people ignore this. First and foremost, during the time of the Haitian Revolution, France was under a dictator, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte had lost 2 battles. His first battle under General Leclerc was to Haiti, which caused them to lose the Louisiana territory. They had to sell that to Andrew Jackson in the United States so they could continue to finance their conquest. The second battle he lost was against Wellington at the Battle of Waterloo. But the House of Rothschild, now check this out, folks. The House of Rothschild and the Bank of England, when they got the word from their agents on the battlefield that Napoleon was losing the battle, Nathan Rothschild sent his agents out to the world banks and told them that Napoleon was winning the battle, which caused the stocks to plunge at the time. So when the stocks plunged on that lie, Nathan Rothschild bought up the stocks. So when they finally found out that Napoleon had lost, it was the same as if he had won. The same. So the dynamic of the crime against humanity spans over 500 years. So don't think I'm telling you something that I got and smoked me some weed and figure it's going to sound good. Okay? No, that ain't what this is, folks. This is I found my voice. Because the voice of the people of the planet, the voice of the people of the planet has been squashed. It's been squashed for over 500 years. And I got to go back to one of my favorite topics, which is the birth of the white buffalo. Because the birth of the white buffalo says that humanity has to come together in healing. And healing's in 4 dimensions: spiritual, psychological, emotional, and physical. Spiritual healing involves the casting off of the shackles of spiritual enslavement. You can only cast those shackles off you if you embrace Ma'at, you embrace truth. Because Ma'at is judgment. And when the Ptolemies, the Greeks, came into Kemet over 2,000 years ago, the first thing they did was to outlaw Ma'at. Now, if Ma'at, the Ankh represents Ma'at, truth. The Ankh represents Ma'at. Let me get the Ankh. This represents truth. Notice the structure of the Ankh, okay? Because the religion has taught us that the Godhead is a man. But if this is a creative construct, and one of the things about the Zulu nation was when Khafre and I became the high priests, the first thing that we noticed at one of the anniversary celebrations at SOBs in New York was everybody in the room had an arm. But notice the structure. The circle represents the vulva, the vagina, the woman. The arms represent the ovaries, the child. The stem represents the man, the penis. Notice where the woman is. She on top. So if you believe that God is a man, you got shit upside down. Now I'm gonna tell you how deep this is. Y'all think I'm lying? You think I'm lying? This is deep. Google Ankh on Mars. Google Ankh on Mars. They found the Ankh on Mars, people. Yeah.
Yeah, Google, and then also Google pyramids on the planets.
Right. Okay. So don't think Makakuvu that smoked some weed and he's telling some stuff that he didn't figure out, come out of the cosmos, come out of the earth, like it's the truth. Nah, folks. The Greeks, when they came to Kemet, they outlawed this. Napoleon, when he went into Kemet, he started blasting the nose off of the Sahu, the Sphinx. Blasting the nose off. Why? Because it didn't represent what he believed in. It was too much for them to fathom that people of color could do this kind of stuff. But it didn't have nothing to do with color. It has everything to do with the origin of creation. The origin of creation. So when you outlaw something that is of creation, what you're saying is that you're outlawing the chair. And then you replace it with the term called God. God, the root of God, is a Germanic word. Come out of German. Now, I ain't not against no Germans. I ain't against nobody that ain't against me. If you ain't against me, I ain't against you. I'm going to say that again. If you're not against me, I'm not against you. But when you make laws that tell me, and you hide these laws that tell me that I'm an enemy of what you tell me is supposed to be righteous and correct, then I got a problem with that. And I'm going to make my voice heard because Van told me I found my voice. Okay? So that's all I'm gonna say, because Sister Sarah, Sasha L, she said, well, listen, education ain't about us. And you heard the man say, education ain't about you. Education is designed to keep you in poverty. All of the systems are designed to keep us in poverty. And it ain't just the fact that they want to keep us in poverty. He said specifically, if we begin to do things that can bring us out of poverty, like manufacture and technology, and like the brother said, start sending our ships to the moon and start developing our own space flights, that will cause the standard of living of all of the West. We are their bank, people. Don't get it confused. Don't get it confused. I'm not preaching hate. I don't hate nobody. I hate not having no weed.
I ain't got none right now. We need to practice self-love. Self-love. And don't let what nobody else thinks affect us, because it ain't none of our business. None.
Self-love, the lack of self-love is one of the reasons why you got all that genocide of our people in Africa. Chaplain Jim to tell you even yesterday, even the other day, I spoke about the fact that in the educational system, they don't ever teach our people anything about ourselves. And that results in self-hatred. So our people hate themselves.
And we were not here.
Hate themselves.
We weren't here before. We had no history before slavery. None.
Right. Okay? That's why I don't even refer to us as having a history. I refer to our chronology as myology. My for self, ology for the study of. Because as soon as you say Black history or his story, that's 2 words. Black history is 3 words. So ain't no such thing as Black his story, because Black his story is a lie. It don't say nothing. It starts with, well, African Americans are descendants of slaves. Well, slave ain't an identity. Slave ain't an ethnic group. So how can African American be a descendant of something that ain't an ethnic group or an identity? So African American is a falsehood. It's a falsehood. You walk around with a name called Tom Jones. Well, Tom Jones is a property title. That means you was owned by Mr. Jones. That's my name. No, it ain't your name, and it ain't your identity.
Look, what about the time before we were slaves, when they were slaves? Why aren't we taught that? Why weren't they taught that?
Well, because, see, slavery, I don't care who was enslaved. I care who can liberate themselves from spiritual enslavement. Because the spiritual enslavement is the root of physical enslavement. You walking around believing in something that you have been declared an enemy of. Doom the verse I said, you are an enemy of Jesus Christ. But you don't know Doom the verse, you know the Bible. And the Bible says Cain killed Abel. And the Bible don't even tell you their real name. So how can you believe in something? And I'm going to ask you, what is the direct relationship? The direct relationship of the Washington Monument. Okay, y'all got that? Hang on. This is what they did. They took the Washington Monument from this design. What does this represent? The Washington Monument, the direct relationship between the Washington Monument, you see, this is myology. The Washington Monument in the biblical story of so-called Cain and Abel. First of all, that ain't their name. It's Osir and Set. Set is known as Cain. Osir is known as Osiris, because the Greeks renamed everything. They outlawed Ma'at and renamed everything. The Romans come in and change the time construct. So now our people are all caught up in this, and then you heard the man say everything that we've been taught, everything that they do is designed to keep us in our position. Servitude, slavitude. So I just want to share that because the sister brought it up and Chris Waller made the point. And I want to welcome Khushite. How you doing, brother? Unmute yourself, Khushite.
All right. Greetings. I want to say greetings to each and every one of you. Brother Makakuvu, I hope you can hear me well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for this invitation. And greetings to everybody. Boy, you sure fired this joint up right now. And let me tell you, I am fired up. And I'm ready, willing, and able. About how many minutes should I be speaking before I open up?
Well, I just want to say, you can speak. That's not a problem. Everybody can speak. We got a brother from India as well. He represents India and Russia. Taweri. Did I say that right, brother?
Okay. Well,
go ahead, man. You go ahead, crank it, man. You know, roll with it.
Okay. Well, I just want to put this into context, and I did make a big page full of notes, so I'm going to go through these as briefly as possible. I have just yesterday morning published my 41st book and my 12th book on Pan-African Sustainable Development. The new book is entitled Paradigm Shift, the Next Empowering Pathway for Afro-Amer Development. Now, you may recognize that acronym is kind of based on the new economic program for Africa development, the NEPAD program. And I'm very proud of this new book, Paradigm Shift. It follows by 1 year the most pessimistic book I have ever written. It was a large book as well. That one entitled Fade to Black, The Passing of a Great Race. So first of all, let me put into context. I'm going to go just quickly as I can. Feel free, Brother Makakuvu, excuse me, for stuttering on my own tongue. Let me slow down a bit. Break in at any given time if you think we need to pause in this dialogue. I am a scientific futurist, and that's very important to understand.
Khushite, let me just say this right quick. I want to make sure that you connect with Chaplain James from out of Lagos, Nigeria.
All right, maybe we'll both paste our contact information in the chat and be able to access each other directly. And I'll be glad to send him one of my most popular books in Africa has hit Nigeria, called The Blackest Soil. Africa Can Feed the World. Love to have you have that book. But I want to explain just a bit. Scientific futurism. Scientific futurism includes formal disciplines, including demographics, science and technology trends, economic patterns, geology and planetary resources, sociology and culture, politics, environment, history, and climate change, the humanities, alternative futures analysis, health and biology, as well as trends in education and industry. Scientific futurism requires the intellectual organizing of data patterns across this spectrum of disciplines toward the aim of creating processes for traversing the future. So first of all, Brother Makakuvu, I want to thank you for the historical perspective. It's always good, as Malcolm X reminded us of all of our studies, history is most qualified to reward our research. And I'm reminded of this term called Sankofa, the Sankofa bird, a symbol that says it is not taboo to return to the past, to retrieve that which has been lost so that we can move forward. And so my dialogues are particularly forward-moving, forward-thinking. I do have this book that I will share. The book is called Africa Rising. Dawn is breaking over Africa. And this book is not a large book, but this book is not only full of data and hope, but it also gives a specific set of strategic investments and engagement that we from the diaspora can make to be the determinants and the competitors for the mother continent's integration into the world as what I am calling the greatest empire that the world has ever known, to be inaugurated 2051, called the African Continental Federation. The African Union Future Developments. And Africa's future is positive. Africa's future is positive. I say it a third time. Africa's future is positive, despite what you hear. My morning radios this morning literally told about two big contradictory ideas published within a month of each other. One, that the 1918 flu impact on Africa, the US State Department says it killed a particularly high number of the young people, whereas a Kenyan researcher from the Kenya Medical Research Institute said, based upon a long list of sources that he said we examined for hours, that the flu epidemic of 1918 was particularly harsh on the elderly. So somebody's lying. Two absolutely contradictory stories means you and I have to do our research and validate everything we hear about our mother continent. The African future developments are very, very important. One of the key things I'll say about the African Union has jurisdiction over 55 nations on the continent. Their annual budget is $681 million in 2019 figures. If we look at the European Union, they have jurisdiction over 17 countries. Why then, if the number of countries the EU is serving is 1/3 the number of countries that the AU is serving, why is their budget 280 times larger than the budget of the African Union? Now, I say that on the eve of African Americans getting ready to launch another $62+ billion in the course of 61 days in the Christmas holiday shopping. We, if we determine, could triple the budget of the African Union within 6 months merely by floating a sovereign wealth equity bonds. It's not that hard to create. A few more points. I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible. Again, Brother Makakuvu, interrupt at any given time if you think something needs to be explained or if I need to pause. We're talking about Africa's future is positive. One of the most positive things we can see about the African Union future are the regional economic communities, the RECs. Africa is divided up into 5 basic units. You have the ECOWAS community of West Africa. You have the Central African Community of States. You have the Southern African Development Commission. You have the northern part, which is called the Arab Maghreb. But my favorite part, what I'm most directly engaged in, is the East African community, which consists of Kenya as the main economy there, followed by Tanzania, Uganda, which is my country of choice and engagement, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and to be incorporated into the East African Community Federation, which is scheduled to be created between 2021 and 2025. So they are actually doing it. It's also going to include Somalia once the security stabilizes there, and 2 other nations have petitioned to be included in the East African community. They are Ethiopia and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Once this federation is completed with just the 6 core nations now, it will be the 9th largest nation on earth. But if you include Ethiopia and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, it will probably come in as about the 4th largest nation on earth. And that then the party starts. We need to talk about moving ourselves here in the diaspora to our participation on the continent. They have had in place for about 20 years the African Growth and Opportunities Act. Unfortunately, the main beneficiaries of AGOA have been the U.S. petrochemical companies. But that was not to preclude any of us from participating in this free trade agreement or lower no tariff agreement with, I believe, some 28 different African nations. But all of that has changed now, because as of January 2021 was the inauguration of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. That's the biggest game changer of all. Why? Because the AFCFTA is the largest free trade agreement on the planet. Right. And that is not only is a great dynamic, and it's a lot of details, they got to put all this in place. They have just launched the East African visa. So now when I apply for my visa to go back home to Uganda in November, I will be able to travel without having to get another visa to Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania, South Sudan, as well as Burundi. And I'm excited about that. So going forward, we have got to ask the question, how do we from the diaspora directly engage, benefit from, and contribute to the AFCFTA, this Continental Free Trade Agreement that's already been ratified by over 26 African countries, and many of the others are due to ratify it as well.
Let me stop you there, my brother. Let me stop you there. The production host has a class to teach. He's a martial artist with Guerreiros Da Luz in Brazil. And our productions come out of Brazil. So Ahmad, we're going to end the program, but we're not going to end the discussion. Meaning that once we come out, he's going to put the production flyer on the screen, close out with the music, and stop the production recording, and then we can continue the discussion, and I'm going to record the back discussion as well. Amar, bring up the flyer, we close out. We want to thank everybody. Zulu Fiction, don't go no place, because the conversation is going to continue.
Okay, I'm not going anywhere.
Can I get a plug in really quick?
Yes, go ahead.
If you want to know history, go to MoorishAmericanGovernment.land to know your history, to find out who you are.
We're going to have all y'all back on the show again so we can do this.
The show's not over, folks.
But yeah, I'm just going to close out because I got a new student today and I don't want to be late.
Yeah.
PDF. Sit on to walk. You guys can hear me, right? Okay. This is what I want to do.
Hang on.
Namaste.
There you go. Chris, I see you, baby. We gonna get you.
It's okay for us to keep talking? Okay. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, TD Obi Awadu. It's a little bit hard to hear you over the music, but it should be cutting shortly.
We're gonna end the music in a minute. Don't worry about it. This is what the production close out right
How come that music got my head nodding?
I can't even hear it. I can't hear anything. It's in your
This has been another wonderful production, World Media Coalition, Jazz Lovers Television Network, Zoom, Legacy Building Zoom television production of our Find My Voice. We will see you all next week. Whoever's going to stay in the conversation, please don't hang up. Don't go nowhere. We're just going to start the production. Everybody have a great day. Be safe. Udama Kira and Salam Alaikum.
Like us long.
Stop that recording, and then I'm going to restart.
1 second.
Recording stopped.
You don't want to put your shoes on? You don't want to put your shoes. You feel free like that? You feel free like that?
All right. So everyone, listen. We are in the background discussion now.